The graveside was still fresh with disturbed earth when he handed her the divorce papers. Rain mixing with tears. Mourners still lingering at a respectful distance. Her father's casket barely lowered into Nigerian soil. And her husband, the man whose child she carried 7 months heavy in her belly, pressing an envelope into her trembling hands. "Sign it," he said. "No emotion. No apology. Just transaction. There's nothing left here for me." She was too shocked to cry. Too grief-broken to fight. She took the papers with hands that had just thrown dirt on her father's grave. "Why now?" she whispered. "Why today?" "Because there's no reason to wait anymore," he said, already walking away. "Your father's dead. There's nothing keeping me here." You didn't know. Nobody knew. Not about the empire. Not about the $800 million. Not about the legal documents being prepared even as mourners offered condolences. Not about the lawyer who would arrive 24 hours later and change everything. This is a story about a man who married for potential and left when he thought it died. About a woman who never knew her own worth until she lost the father who protected it. About the cosmic joke that happens when greed divorces wealth at the exact moment wealth reveals itself. Her name was Adaeze, which means daughter of a king in Igbo. His name was Tunbekere. A Yoruba man who'd married an Igbo woman for love, he claimed. For advancement she'd sometimes feared. Both would learn what those names truly meant. Adaeze Okafor met Tunbekere 6 years earlier at University of Lagos. She was studying literature. He was studying engineering. She lived in a modest student hostel. He lived slightly better, family money from Lagos. What Tun saw, a beautiful Igbo girl from somewhere in the east. Smart. Elegant despite limited means. The kind of woman who could elevate a man's status. Good Igbo wife material, respectful, hardworking, not too flashy. What he didn't see, the daughter of Chief Okafor, one of the wealthiest men in Anambra State. A man so discreet about his wealth that even his household staff didn't know the full extent. A man who'd built an empire in oil, real estate, and manufacturing while living in a compound that looked merely comfortable, not palatial. Chief Okafor had taught Adaeze, "Let them love you for yourself. Not for what I've built." When you find a man who loves you in a one-room apartment, then you know his heart is pure. So Adaeze never mentioned the oil wells. The estates in 3 states. The investments across West Africa. The Swiss accounts. The quiet empire her father had built while pretending to be just another successful businessman. She wore simple clothes. Took public transport. Worked part-time jobs she didn't need. Let Tun think he was marrying up from poverty, down from his Lagos middle-class comfort. "My father is a businessman," she'd say vaguely when asked. "He's doing okay." Okay. As if $800 million was okay. They married simply. Traditional Igbo ceremony in her village. Tun's family came from Lagos, slightly condescending about the village wedding. Chief Okafor hosted graciously, in the family compound that was large but not ostentatious. Comfortable but not wealthy. Tun's mother had whispered to him before the wine carrying, "Are you sure about this Igbo girl? Her family seems modest. You could have married better in Lagos." "I love her, Mama," Tun had said. And he did. Then, when love was still uncomplicated by expectation, Chief Okafor had pulled Adaeze aside during the ceremony. Spoken to her in Igbo away from Tun's hearing, "My daughter, I see his eyes. He is measuring, calculating, weighing your worth against his investment. Be careful. Papa, you're too suspicious. He loves me." "Perhaps," her father said. "But love and respect are not the same. I'm not telling you not to marry him. I'm telling you to watch. To wait. To see if he loves Adaeze or if he loves what Adaeze can do for him." She dismissed it. Young love is deaf to elder wisdom. They moved to Lagos. Tun got a good engineering job with an oil company. Adaeze worked as a teacher. She'd insisted on working, didn't want to be dependent. They lived in a decent flat in Surulere. Not luxury but comfortable. Chief Okafor sent money occasionally. Not much, he was testing too. Small amounts. Help with rent here, medical bills there. Never enough to raise questions about his wealth. Just a concerned father helping his daughter. Tund accepted the help graciously. Then gradually, expectantly. Then eventually, resentfully. 5 years into the marriage, something shifted. Tund's career plateaued. His engineering position was good but not spectacular. Meanwhile, his university friends were becoming executives, buying houses in Ikoyi, driving luxury cars. He started comparing. Started calculating. Started resenting. "Your father sends money for rent again?" he'd say, holding the envelope like it was contaminated. "A successful man doesn't need his father-in-law's charity. Papa's just helping Tund. That's what fathers do. My father didn't help. I built myself. But I married a woman whose family—" "What does your father even do?" "Businessman, you say? But what kind of businessman lives in a village and sends small money?" The small money comment stung. If only he knew. "He's comfortable, Tund. He's helping because he can." "Comfortable?" Tund spat. "You told me your family was well off. But this," he gestured at the modest envelope, "this is not well off. This is scraping by and pretending otherwise." Adaeze said nothing. Her father had warned her. Let the marriage reveal his character. If he loves you when he thinks you have nothing, then you know. But love was dying. Slowly. Poisoned by Tund's disappointment that he hadn't married into the wealth he'd imagined. That Adeeze's family wasn't the golden ticket he'd expected. When she got pregnant, he didn't celebrate. "Can we afford this?" he'd asked flatly. "Yes, Tund. We can afford our child. With your father's small money supplementing my salary? This is not how I wanted to build my family." "Then how did you want to build it?" I thought your family had more. I thought marrying an Igbo woman meant marrying into business. Into connections. Into something that would help me rise." There it was. Finally. Naked and ugly. The truth he'd hidden even from himself. "You married me for what you thought I could give you?" "I married you for love," Tund said. "But I also married you because I thought we'd build something together. That your family would help. That there was something there beyond your father's small envelopes." Adeeze felt her child kick inside her. 7 months pregnant with a man who just admitted he'd married her for social climbing that hadn't materialized. "My father is a good man," she said quietly. "He's helped us." "With crumbs?" Tund said bitterly. "While I work myself to death for a salary that barely covers this flat." He didn't know. Couldn't know. That the crumbs were Chief Okafor's test. That the real wealth was hidden, waiting. That Adeeze herself didn't know the full extent. Her father had promised to reveal everything when the time is right. The time would come. But not the way anyone expected. Chief Okafor died suddenly. Heart attack. In his sleep. Peaceful, the doctor said. Went to meet his ancestors without suffering. Adeeze got the call at 4 a.m. Her mother's voice destroyed. "Ada, come home. Your father is gone." 7 months pregnant, she traveled back to Anambra. Tund came reluctantly. "I can't take too much time off work," he'd said. "Maybe 3 days for the burial." "My father just died, Tund. And I'm sorry for your loss. But I have responsibilities. Bills to pay. A child coming. I can't afford to be gone long." The funeral arrangements were strange. Her mother, composed despite grief, made calls to people Adeeze didn't know. Lawyers. Accountants. Business associates. The house filled with men in expensive agbada, women in elaborate asoebi. Important people paying respects to a man they called Chief, with genuine reverence. Tund noticed. Started calculating again. Your father knew all these people? These wealthy people. Papa had many friends, Adaeze said, grief making her vague. But look at them. These are not small-time friends. These are people with money. Real money. Does it matter now? He's dead. It matters, Tund said quietly, because it means your father had connections you never told me about. Resources you never mentioned. All these years I thought we were struggling and your father was connected to people like this. We weren't struggling, Tund. We were comfortable. You were just disappointed we weren't rich. I was disappointed, he said slowly, that you lied about your family's status. I never lied. You assumed. The burial was massive. Hundreds of people. maybe thousands. The compound that had seemed merely comfortable was transformed. Massive canopies erected, caterers feeding multitudes, live band playing, dignitaries arriving in convoys. Tund walked through it in shock. This wasn't a modest businessman's funeral. This was something else. Adaeze, he pulled her aside, her pregnant belly between them. Who was your father really? He was Papa. That's all I knew. That's not true. Look at this. He gestured at the spectacle. You can't tell me you didn't know he was wealthy. All these years you let me think. Think what, Tund? That you married beneath you? That my family was poor? You drew those conclusions yourself. I told you Papa was a businessman. He was. I told you he was comfortable. He was. Comfortable? Tund's voice rose. People were starting to stare. Adaeze, there are governors here. Senators. Oil company executives. This is not comfortable. This is wealthy. This is the kind of connection I needed, and you hid it from me for 6 years. Lower your voice, Adaeze said. This is my father's burial. I will not lower my voice. You lied to me. You kept me in the dark while I struggled to provide, while your father could have. Could have what? Adaeze's own voice rose now, pregnancy and grief making her reckless. Given you money? Given you connections? Made you successful without your own work? Is that what you wanted? Is that why you married me? I married you because I loved you. But I also thought I was marrying into something that would help us. And you let me believe we had nothing when clearly, he gestured around again, your father had everything. Her mother appeared, elegant in black asoebi, grief-hardened. She spoke to Tund in Igbo deliberately. My husband is not yet in the ground, and you are shouting at his pregnant daughter about money? What kind of man are you? Tund didn't speak Igbo well. Understood enough. I'm sorry, Mama. But your daughter. My daughter is grieving. You will give her peace today or you will leave. I'll leave, Tund said. Then to Adaeze, after this burial we need to talk. Really talk. About everything you've been hiding. He walked away. Adaeze stood there, 7 months pregnant, mourning her father and watching her marriage crumble in public. They buried Chief Okafor with full honors. The pastor spoke. The family wailed. Adaeze threw the first handful of dirt with her free hand, the other cradling her belly. As the grave was being filled, Tund approached her. The crowd was dispersing. She thought he was coming to apologize, to comfort, to be the husband her father's death required. Instead, he handed her an envelope. What is this? Divorce papers. I had my lawyer prepare them last week, but I waited to see, to confirm. Adaeze's hand shook. Rain was starting, soft Lagos rain on an amber soil. Waited to confirm what? That your father's wealth was real. That all these years you've been lying to me. Playing poor while sitting on money that could have changed our lives. I wasn't sitting on anything, Tund. I didn't know. Don't lie to me anymore, he said. Just sign the papers. I'm not staying in this marriage. Not with someone who hid this from me. Who let me struggle when one word to your father could have. Could have what? Adaeze was crying now, grief and rage and pregnancy hormones making her shake. Bankrolled your career? Made you successful without effort? That's what you wanted. I wanted a partner, Tund said coldly. Not a liar. Sign the papers. My father just died. I'm 7 months pregnant with your child. And you're divorcing me here? At his grave. I'm divorcing you, Tund said, because there's nothing left. Your father's dead. Whatever wealth he had won't help us now. Your mother will inherit, your brothers will fight over it, and we'll be left with nothing anyway. I'm cutting my losses. You didn't know. Couldn't know. That Chief Okafor's will had been very specific. That there were no brothers to fight with. Adaeze was an only child. That nothing left was actually $800 million about to transfer to the daughter he just abandoned. If I sign these, Adaeze said slowly, you get nothing. No alimony. No claim to anything I might inherit. Nothing. I don't want your family's money, Tund said. I want my freedom. Sign it. She signed. Right there. At her father's grave. with rain falling and mourners staring and her unborn child kicking inside her. Tun took the papers, walked away, left her standing at the fresh grave, divorced and pregnant and orphaned. She didn't cry anymore. Something in her had frozen, hardened. Her mother came to her side. "He's gone." "Yes, Mama." "Good," her mother said. "Your father saw his heart. That's why the will is what it is." "What do you mean?" "The lawyers come tomorrow, Ada. And you'll understand everything your father built. Everything he hid. Everything he protected you from until you knew a man's true character." "Mama, what are you saying?" "I'm saying," her mother replied, "that your father was not just comfortable. And you are not just his daughter. You are his heir. His only heir. And the man who just divorced you has made the most expensive mistake of his life." 24 hours after the burial. The family compound now quiet. Just Adaeze, her mother, and 3 lawyers from Lagos. Senior men with expensive briefcases and careful faces. The lead lawyer, Mr. Okonkwo, spoke. "Madam Adaeze, your father left very specific instructions. Before we read the will, I need to explain some things about Chief Okafor's estate." Estate. Adaeze was numb, exhausted. Her hand rested on her belly where her daughter kicked. "Your father was discreet about his wealth. Very discreet. He believed in living humbly while building powerfully. He told me once, 'I want my daughter to marry a man who loves her, not my money. So I will hide my money until I know his heart.'" "I don't understand." Mr. Okonkwo opened his briefcase, began laying out documents. "Your father owned 17 companies. Oil and gas interests in 3 states. Real estate in Nigeria, Ghana, and London. Manufacturing concerns. A private equity portfolio worth hundreds of millions. He was, conservatively, worth $800 million at the time of his death." The room tilted. Adaeze gripped the armrest. $800 million? "Yes. And according to his will written 5 years ago and updated annually, you are the sole heir. Your mother receives a lifetime maintenance fund and the family compound. You receive everything else. But we lived so simply. Papa sent small money. He never." "He was testing," her mother said softly. "Testing your husband. I told him it was cruel, but he insisted. He wanted to see if Tund loved you or loved expectations." "The test is over," Mr. Okonkwo continued. "And coincidentally, or perhaps providentially, you signed divorce papers yesterday. I have them here." He pulled out a copy. "Your ex-husband waived all claims to your assets, current and future. Signed at 2:47 p.m., approximately 4 hours before this will was filed with the probate court." Adaeze started laughing. Couldn't help it. Hysterical, grief-stricken, pregnant laughter. She'd been divorced by a man chasing wealth she'd had all along. Left at her father's grave for being poor when she was about to inherit $800 million. "He doesn't know," she gasped between laughs and sobs. "Tun doesn't know." "No one knows," Mr. Okonkwo said. "Your father was extraordinarily discreet. We're filing probate today. It will become public record within the week. But for now, you're the only one who knows what you've inherited. What do I do with it?" Her mother took her hand. "What your father wanted. You live. You raise your daughter. Yes, daughter, I know you had the test. You build on what he built. You prove that Chief Okafor's daughter is worthy of his empire. And Tund? What about him?" Her mother's voice turned cold. "He divorced you at your father's grave for not being rich enough. Let him live with that choice." 1 week later, the probate filing hit the newspapers. Chief Okafor estate valued at $800 million, daughter sole heir, read the headlines. Tun's phone started ringing immediately. Friends, family, colleagues, all asking the same thing. "Did you know?" His mother called, voice shrill. "Tun, tell me this is not the same Adaeze you just divorced." "It is, Mama." "The Adaeze who is now worth $800 million? The Adaeze you left pregnant at her father's funeral?" "I didn't know, Mama. She never told me. She let me think." "You fool," his mother said. "You divorced a billionaire because you thought she was poor. You are the biggest fool in Lagos." His phone wouldn't stop. Social media was brutal. Someone had found the divorce papers filed publicly. The timeline was everywhere. 2:47 p.m. Divorce finalized. Tund waives all claims. 6:30 p.m. Will filed. Adaeze named sole heir to $800 million. The internet had no mercy. Man divorces wife for being poor 4 hours before she inherits $800 million skull. When karma doesn't wait for the next lifetime. Fumbled the bag doesn't even cover this. She was pregnant too? My brother in Christ, what did you do? His colleagues avoided him. His boss called him in, concerned about personal matters affecting professional judgment. His friends stopped answering calls. Nobody wanted to be associated with the man who'd become a cautionary tale about greed and stupidity. And through it all, Tund sat in his Surulere flat. The flat Adaeze had helped pay for with her father's small money, and realized what he'd done. 2 weeks after the revelation, Tund called Adaeze. She let it ring 4 times before answering. Ada, please. We need to talk. We have nothing to talk about, Tund. We're divorced. You made sure of that. I didn't know. You have to understand, I didn't know about your father's wealth. What difference would it have made? Her voice was ice. Would you have loved me more if you knew? Or would you have just been nicer while spending my father's money? That's not fair. Fair? She laughed. You divorced me at my father's grave because you thought I'd lied about being wealthy. And now that you know I actually am wealthy, you want back in. How is that fair? We have a child coming, Ada. Our daughter. Don't you think? I think, she cut him off, that our daughter deserves better than a father who measures her mother's worth in dollars. You signed away your rights, Tund. To me, to my assets, to everything. The only thing you didn't sign away was your responsibility to our child. And that's the only relationship we have now. Co-parents. Nothing more. Ada, please. I made a mistake. I was angry, I was hurt, I thought you'd lied. I never lied, she said quietly. You assumed. You calculated. You married me thinking I was a stepping stone, and when I didn't elevate you fast enough, you left. That's not a mistake, Tund. That's character. And my father was right. The money revealed it. So what now? You're rich and I'm punished forever for not knowing? You're not being punished, Adaeze said. You made a choice. You divorced me. You walked away. I'm simply accepting your choice. Living with what you decided. While sitting on $800 million. There it was. The bitterness. The resentment. Even now, even begging, he couldn't hide it. Goodbye, Tund. My lawyers will contact you about custody arrangements when the baby comes. She hung up. Blocked his number. Let him sit with his choices. Being wealthy turned out to be work. Serious work. Adaeze had to learn her father's empire. Fast. Mr. Okonkwo became her guide. They spent weeks going through holdings, investments, strategies. Her father had been brilliant, diversified, cautious, strategic. He'd built wealth that could sustain generations. Your father always said, Mr. Okonkwo told her, when God blesses you with wealth, it's not for you alone. For your community. For the next generation. For building what others cannot. Adaeze took that seriously. 8 months pregnant, she attended board meetings. Reviewed contracts. Made decisions. Some of the old guard businessmen resisted at first. A pregnant woman running Chief Okafor's empire? She proved them wrong quickly. She had her father's mind. Sure. Strategic. Unafraid. She also had something new, freedom. Freedom from trying to appear small. Freedom from hiding. Freedom from managing a man's ego. Her mother watched her bloom. Your father would be proud. I wish he could have told me, Mama. Prepared me. He did prepare you. By letting you live simply. By teaching you the value of work, of character, of substance over show. If you'd grown up knowing you were worth $800 million, would you be the woman you are now? Probably not, Adaeze admitted. She would have been someone else. Softer perhaps. More trusting. Less tested. Adaeze gave birth 3 weeks after the will revelation. A daughter. Beautiful. Perfect. She named her Chidibube, God is glorious. Tund came to the hospital. She allowed it. He was still the father. He held his daughter with shaking hands. looked at Adaeze with something like grief. She's beautiful. Yes. Ada, can we try again? For her sake. We are trying, Adaeze said. We're trying to co-parent. That's all we're doing. But we could be a family. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But don't you think Chittybube deserves? Chittybube deserves, Adaeze interrupted, parents who respect each other. Who value each other. You didn't value me, Tund. You valued what you thought I could give you. When you thought that was nothing, you left. Now you know it's $800 million and you want back in. Do you see the problem? I loved you before the money. You divorced me because you thought there was no money. He had no answer to that. 6 months after Chief Okafor's death, Adaeze held her first board meeting as chairwoman. The room full of men who'd worked with her father. Men who'd built empires alongside him. She was 28 years old. Single mother. Worth $800 million. Gentlemen, she began, my father built this empire on principles. Integrity. Discretion. Community investment. Long-term thinking. I intend to continue those principles while adding some of my own. She outlined her vision. Expansion into renewable energy. Educational investments. Women's entrepreneurship funds. Building not just wealth but legacy. The old guard listened. Some skeptical. Some impressed. One elder, Chief Nwankwo, spoke, your father was my friend for 40 years. He told me once that he was raising a queen. I see now he was right. You have his mind and your mother's heart. This empire is in good hands. After the meeting, Mr. Okonkwo pulled her aside. There's something you should know. Your ex-husband has been asking questions. About legal options. About contesting the divorce settlement. On what grounds? He claims he didn't know the full extent of your assets when he signed. That it was fraud by omission. Adaeze smiled. Bitter. Let him try. I didn't know either. My father's wealth was hidden from everyone. If Tund didn't know, neither did I. There was no fraud. Just very unfortunate timing for him. His lawyers know it's a losing case. But he's desperate. Let him be desperate. I have a daughter to raise and an empire to run. I don't have time for a man who only wants me when I'm worth $800 million. 1 year after Chief Okafor's death, Adaeze hosted the first annual Chief Okafor Foundation Gala. Education scholarships for Igbo girls. Business grants for women entrepreneurs. Community development in Anambra State. She stood at the podium, 1-year-old Chittybube with her grandmother in the front row, and spoke. My father taught me that wealth is not about what you have. It's about what you do with what you have. He could have lived like a king. Instead, he lived like a wise man, building quietly, investing strategically, preparing the next generation. She paused. He also taught me about character. About testing. About knowing the difference between people who love you and people who love what you can give them. The room was silent. Everyone knew the story. The divorce at the funeral. The $800 million revealed hours later. The cosmic justice that had made her a legend. I don't regret what happened, she continued, because it taught me what my father wanted me to learn, that my worth is not in my bank account. It's in my character, in how I treat people, in what I build, in what I leave behind. Tund was not at the gala. Wasn't invited. Wouldn't have come anyway. He was still in Lagos, still working his engineering job, still living in the flat Adaeze had helped pay for. Still alone with his choices. They co-parented. Barely. He saw Chittybube twice a month. Paid token child support. Adaeze didn't need it, but her lawyers insisted he contribute something. A matter of principle. Adaeze never remarried. She dated occasionally. But she was careful now. Wary. She understood her father's test in a way she never had before. When Chittybube turned 3, Adaeze took her to her grandfather's grave. The headstone was simple. Chief Okafor had requested nothing ostentatious. This is your grandfather, she told her daughter in Igbo. The man who built everything we have. What did he build, Mama? He built wealth, yes. But more importantly, he built character. He taught me that you can't know a person's heart until you know what they do when they think you have nothing. I don't understand, Mama. You will, my love. When you're older. When you have to decide who to trust with your heart. When you have to learn the difference between people who love you and people who love your name. She placed flowers on the grave. Her father had been right about everything. About Tund. About the test. About wealth revealing character rather than building it. The internet eventually moved on to other stories. Other scandals. But Tund's name remained a cautionary tale. A warning. A meme. Don't fumble the bag like Tund became shorthand for catastrophic decision-making. Divorced her at the funeral vibes, described peak stupidity. That Tund energy meant someone making decisions they'd regret forever. He changed his name on social media. Left Lagos for Abuja. Started over. But the story followed him. Would follow him forever. Meanwhile, Adaeze built. Invested. Grew her father's empire into something new. By 35, she doubled the inheritance. By 40, tripled it. Chidibube grew up knowing her worth, not in money but in character. Knowing the story of the grandfather who'd tested her father and found him wanting. Knowing the story of the mother who'd survived betrayal and thrived anyway. And sometimes, late at night, Adaeze would read the Igbo proverbs her father had loved. Ani nwe nka, nwe ego. He who has skill has wealth. Madu wu ife kamadu. A person is what another person makes them. Ije hai huru jibien kidi. What the cow sees and keeps quiet about says more than words. Her father had seen Tund's character. Had kept quiet. Had let the test reveal what words could not. And in the end the cow was proven right. Chief Okafor died believing that wealth should reveal character, not create it. That a truly good man would love his daughter whether she had nothing or everything. That the right partner would value her for herself, not her inheritance. He was proven right in the worst possible way. Tund became the answer to a question nobody wants to ask. What kind of man divorces his pregnant wife at her father's funeral because he thinks she's too poor, and then discovers 4 hours later that she's worth $800 million? The answer: the wrong kind of man. The kind who measures love in transactions. Who weighs relationships against advancement. Who sees people as investments with varying returns. Adaeze became the answer to a better question. What kind of woman survives being divorced at her father's grave while 7 months pregnant and emerges not bitter but stronger? The answer: her father's daughter. A queen who was raised in humble circumstances to understand that worth and wealth are not the same thing. That character matters more than capital. That Ubuntu, I am because we are, cannot coexist with transactional relationships. Today, the Chief Okafor Foundation educates thousands of girls across Nigeria. Adaeze chairs an empire worth over $2 billion. Chidibube is growing up understanding that wealth is responsibility, not status. And Tund? He exists as a cautionary tale. A meme. A warning. The man who had everything and threw it away because he couldn't see past his own calculations. The Igbo have a saying, Ani ahuru enanya, ya naahu. You will see the person who is loved clearly. Chief Okafor saw clearly. Through the pretense. Through the performance. Through the false love that disguised itself as real. And in the end, love revealed itself too. Not the love Tund claimed to feel. But the love Adaeze found for herself. For her daughter. For her father's legacy. For the empire she would build not from greed, but from responsibility. Not from accumulation but from community. That's the love that lasts. That's the wealth that matters.